here with Sage Mountainflower, and she is one of our textile artists for January. And so I'd like to welcome her. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. So I wanted you to just kind of share with us, Sage, like where you're from and just talk a little bit about the work that you're doing, and just give us a little bit of information about yourself.
Okay, my name is Sage Mountainflower. I'm from Okewinge, Taos Pueblo, in the Navajo Nation. And I grew up in Okewinge. So I'm Pueblo and Navajo. My mother is from Okewinge, and then her mother was from Taos Pueblo. So we have that family tie there. And when she was growing up, they did a lot of traveling from Okewinge to Taos Pueblo and vice versa with our family. From there, coming down to Oke. So we still have that close connection where we make that travel quite often. And then my father, he's Navajo from the St. Michael's and Fort Defiance, Arizona area. So I know my family there, and I know how to get there. So it's pretty amazing that my homeland is kind of stretched pretty far. And then I also live in Albuquerque and travel. So it's just kind of in my nature to be on the road or in some kind of movement and doing something that, I enjoy. So I do a lot of traveling just to be home or be home, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, so I just learned that you went to Paris in February. That's a big travel.
Yeah, that was a huge travel. I went to Paris. I was selected as one of the designers for the International Indigenous Fashion Week to present at the Normandy Hotel in Paris, France. So that was a big endeavor because last year, in 2019, I was pretty much unemployed. I just applied to see what the application process was and, to understand, like what were going to be my goals to get to that level and not even expecting to get in the show. So it was really awesome that I was selected to be a part of that show for 2020. So I was lucky that there's a couple other designers that I knew that went the previous year. So I asked them about the experience and, is this something that, again, am I going to be able to do this? Because I wasn't working, and I wasn't really counting on my sewing or my beadwork or any of my artwork to be carrying me on as like full-time employment.
Right.
So, it was a big like awakening and transition. So, but in the end, when I just committed to it, then I was like, all right, well, I got to figure out how am I gonna get there. So that's when I created that wrap and what I call like my wrap, and I use it. I started promoting that and developing my brand through that, and successfully I made a couple of those sales, and then it was just like, okay, there's one payment. And then slowly started like, well, creating items that I knew people needed in the Pueblo, and started selling those, and it eventually evolved into making my designer fees and my travel arrangements. And then I also took one of my local model from Santo Domingo Pueblo, Christy Bird, along with me, so she could gain that experience too and exposure to model on a runway in Paris. So that was a great experience.
So Sage, in reference to this trip that you took to Paris, and then like that next month, we encountered the pandemic. And so how did that affect you in reference to just this huge momentum, and then all of a sudden we went into this pandemic?
It was hard because I had stuff lined up already. I had another show in Denver that I was going to take one of my collections to. It was natives in this native fashion in the city in Denver during Denver March Powwow. And I was excited to go to that. It got canceled. And then I had another local show that I used with Albuquerque Public Schools
Mhm.
and I was gonna do a children's line just because there's a lot of kids that come to model, or and they
Yeah.
don't get a chance to, because all the designers usually create clothing that's for more adults. So this time I was gonna try to do like a small children's line just to give them that little exposure to and help them in this modeling
Right.
answer. So yeah, that got canceled, and then I had another show in June that got canceled. It was just like um, the other show in Maine. I was selected to go to that too, and we had our travel arrangements working out, and that
Mm.
got canceled. So I was like, and I just got I totally lost like a lot of motivation to create. I just kind of sat down and was like, this is not good. I don't
Right.
even want to create anything. So I just kind of took it as a long pause in my life and figured out, like, what do I want to do? I had started a new job too. So then it was like, well, we got sent home, and so it just kind of made me like have this long pause in how I wanted to move forward, and just my personal life in general, not even thinking about how um, my artwork or anything. I just kind of took a break and looked at myself inside out, inside, um, and made some different kinds of goals, like in health wise. I had
Right.
gained some weight, so then I just kind of looked at it that way and made it a different outlook. And then as I made those changes, like for a healthier lifestyle, and making more time for my family and my kids and my grandkids, then it was like all the other stuff started happening. And then Santa Fe Indian Market said they were going to go virtual. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try that, like, what else can we do? And even at that point, I still didn't create a lot of inventory for the show. So it was just, just to stay under the umbrella and not let the momentum that I was creating go. So and in a way, that was one of the best decisions I made.
Mm, that's so good to hear. Yeah, definitely. Your journey has not been absent of what other artists were encountering during that time. It was definitely a reevaluation and a reinventing, and all of these things were going on. So I completely get that. I wanted to just talk about some of your collections. I really like the Midnight collection that you did, and the Pink collection. And so can you just talk about these collections that you've created, and they're still available online, right?
Yeah,
That,
they're still available. I created the Midnight on the Mesa collection. It started with the jacket that wrap that I was making, and I had done it in pink at one point, and then I was like, well, I'll make a black one, and then it was just like that's where the name came from, was from that jacket. I just named it. In part of my work, I was like, once I start naming something, it seemed like it was selling better, so I gave it a name, and for that wrap, I gave it the Midnight on the Mesa
mhm.
wrap, and then it sold immediately, and I was like, all right, cool. And then after that I was like, well, was asked to do a show called the Daisana fashion show in Albuquerque in January, and I had told them no like several times because I was committing myself to this fashion show in France, and they just kept insisting I get on their show. And I was like, all right, well, then they enticed me with like, well, we have a grand prize, we'll put you in the contest, and we have $1,000. And I was like, well, I need $1,000 to pay for my travel. So okay, let me get in that. And that was a good door, a good opportunity, because in the end, they taught me a little bit more about branding myself, and putting myself out there a little bit more, and explaining my collection, my design, my process, things like that. And for the most part, I was just always like okay with the oohs and ahs I was getting already, and this is just giving myself a different avenue to promote myself. So that's how I created the Midnight on the Mesa collection, and it's just I really look at the geographical areas of the places I've traveled throughout my life. And one of the memorable times is like when I'm outside at home or in the Pueblo in Taos or in Hopi, we get a chance to be out on the, on the roof or on the mesa top at night. And when I was little, we slept on the roofs, and just being able to see the stars and everything at night and just seeing like the dark horizons and the mesa tops and how it has those vertical lines and then the sparkles and the shimmers from the light of the moon and just all those things created that Midnight on the Mesa inspiration. So that's where all my stuff comes from.
Love it. Love the wrap too. I saw the wrap in your collection. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then the Pink Waves collection came. I did like 2 previous outfits in the previous year in 2019 for the pink collection, but then I just kind of let it sit there for a while and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I was like, pink, for me has always just been a color that I did not like. And over the years, I was real tomboyish and real athletic, and everybody always bought me stuff in pink and as gifts. And I'd be like, why, Mom? Why do they always do that? And they're like, I like boy colors, because you get that when you're younger, boy colors, that separation instead of. So I finally over the years, like I said, embraced the color pink and it, the power that it has. When I do wear it, I get a lot more compliments and in the clothing that, if I wore pink, they're, oh, that pink looks good on you. Okay. But then so it just kind of grew on me. And so I was like, well, I had a lot of pink material and that's how I just created the Pink Waves collection. And again, it goes back to like when I used to do a lot of running in the river, near the river. And when we were younger, we'd go swimming and just looking at the summer and the horizons too, again, and our sunsets here in New Mexico, they do create a lot of pinkish colors in the skies and things like that. Sometimes, like I said, you'll see that reflection in the water. So then that's where the pink waves come from. But it was truly inspired by my other work that I did with the She Brings the Rain look. And that one was what I submitted to the 2019 Contemporary Clothing Contest. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where it really like evolved, because I was trying to, I guess, evolve from what I was creating at that time. Just keep that movement of water, and expressing how much the importance of water is to us as people.
I love that. I have to admit, little girl liked pink, and then somewhere in my teens hate pink and hated pink until I was an adult, and now I like pink again. And so I love that story. I think that sometimes we do definitely try to veer away from something that we should persist, and that was the thing with you, is you persisted that. So that's awesome. I loved watching the video of you in the runway of the bridge, because the water was just flowing, and just watching you watch the models modeling your collection, and you were so proud. And so I have to ask this question, Sage. When you're watching that and you're doing a production and you're having it filmed, what did that feel like for you?
It was pretty amazing, because the young women that came that I asked to model for me, they just came in regular clothes, and then they just kind of did this big transformation, and it was just like, wow, look at them, and we're just like, they were just so beautiful. And just watching them, embrace that, like I said, they embraced the color pink, they embraced my outfits, and they brought life to them. And it was just amazing to watch them. Like, yeah, I was just like proud, because I was like, wow, I created that, and wow, look how amazing they look. Because sometimes, like, I think as artists, we're our worst critic, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really like that outfit I just made. And, so I think one of them I really had that feeling with, and it's the one that I got the most compliments.
That's
so, so it's just kind of that, I don't know, I'm always amazed, like, but they did a great job, in presenting my line.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I want to talk to you just briefly about, because you're using the word brand, and I just feel like we're in a place in time when we are going to be online, and there's a need for recognition, brand recognition in that. And so what does that mean to you, Sage, when you talk about branding and you're talking about the brand of what you're creating? What does that mean to you?
Well, my brand is Sage Mountainflower. It's my name. My real name is Sage Mountainflower, and um, given my Sage was my first name given to me by my parents, and then my godparents gave me Mountainflower, and then of course I had a last name, but I just kind of dropped that over the years. I always say that's like my way of Pablo Revolting, letting go of that surname, I guess. But my approach to branding was just, creating a label that people would recognize. And I was always like, when I was younger, when I doodle and stuff, I would write letters, because back in the day we wrote letters instead of texting. So I'd always sign my name, and I would put like, draw this mountain and a flower, and that's what I use as my label, is the mountain flower, and you'll see that. And then the three little drops represent the springs that are in the mountains. So, like, it has meaning to it, because for me, I've always, like, in my background has been environmental science. I have a degree in that, and then studied water resources as well. And so water is always a part of my life, and in sharing that importance of it. So my approach to branding was just, starting with, okay, I got to create a label, and who am I, and I was like, I can't think of anything better than to, if I'm making this, it has my name with it. And even my Indian name is translated into, my Tewa name is translated into Sage Mountain Flower. So it's still who I am. Even if I took that away, I'd still be, I'd still be Sage Mountain Flower. So I just kind of kept it, this is my work, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to show, and, put my name on it. And it was hard because, like, I kind of keep myself, like, not showing more about what I was creating. Just once in a while, when my kids would come out with stuff, they would always be like, oh, my mom made this, and people ask them, where they got their ribbon shirt or where they got their outfit from. And they would always say it was from my mom. So putting a name on it now is just, I guess, elevating my creativity, and it's pretty interesting. I did, like, connect with Phoenix Fashion Week, and they helped me promote, create, like, verbiage to, elevate my branding style. So, I do say, like, Sage Mountain Flowers, creating indigenous fashion for the spirited, embrace your power. Those are like my, I can't even think of the phrases that you're supposed to use or the names of it, but
I think you nailed it in reference to branding, and in reference to it being a part of who you are, and then it's your name. All of those things are so pertinent as an artist, and so you nailed it. I think it's awesome.
thank you. It took a lot of work and a lot of brainstorming, and I'd be like, what do you think about this? Asking my kids and everybody that I would talk to, and I had a lot of help and a lot of, from my friends and my family. So I'm always grateful for their input too, because it was really hard to break it down to, I had this big old long verbiage, and then to break it down to, like, okay, just cat, we're just going to say this.
Yes.
So,
And I think too, it's challenging for artists sometimes to even think of themselves as the brand,
right.
because they don't want to. I think that there's a lot of humble, artists who find it very difficult to, like, make themselves glow in that space, right?
Yes, yes, and that was hard. Like I still have issues with that because, like I'm just used to, Sage, I'm from okay, or I'm doing this now, and but yeah, for people to have seen, me evolve already at this, capturing it at this level so far has just caught people's eye, and they're like, I can't believe you've evolved so quickly. And I was like, I know, it's just crazy. Because like there's days when I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm still trying to catch up to where, my hype is at. And it's like, wow, and then it's amazing when people start sharing how fast it moves through um, the internet.
I just thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for calling me too. It was great.
Good luck to you and can't wait to meet you in person.
I know, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Thank you so much, Sage. Have a great day.
All right, you too.